Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. Today's another AMA episode, that is, Ask Me Anything. I love to answer your questions, and if you have a question you think is going to be of broad interest, send it in. I'll answer it live on the air. Send your questions to victor@victorjm.com. That's victor@victorjm.com. This question comes from Danielle, and she asks, I'm considering the purchase of a 4-unit property that could be redeveloped as a 6-unit apartment building, and I'm wondering how can I calculate what I can afford to pay for the property. They're asking $900,000. I think it's too much, but I can't really tell what would be the appropriate offer price. Well, Danielle, this is a great question. When we buy real estate, whether it's for a long-term hold or a quick sale, we use a very similar approach that's pretty standard in the industry. The method is called residual land value analysis. It's a fancy term, basically means you work backwards from the answer to the question. Or in this case, you work backwards from the value of the finished product to the raw material that you're starting with. So we're going to answer this question in 2 parts. Today, I'm going to answer the scenario where you would sell the product in a quick sale, and then on tomorrow's show, I'm going to answer how you would do this for a buy and hold scenario or a build and hold scenario, as the case may be. So we're going to run through the example twice. There is a spreadsheet. We're going to be doing a little bit of math today. So if you go to the link in the show notes, you can download the spreadsheet. I recommend you stop the recording, download the spreadsheet. It'll be easier to follow along as we go through some of this math. This is a very simple example. Imagine you found a property. It's in a great area. It's in high demand, which in your case it is. And you have a high degree of confidence in your ability to sell that quality product. You know that houses in the area are selling for $1 million for a 2,000 square foot home. How do you know what you can offer on the property in order to have a profitable project? So let's say you've completed the comp analysis and you've got a high degree of confidence in your ability to sell a quality product at that $1 million price tag. Your business is going to run as a healthy business. And for that reason, I want you to set a healthy profit margin. I want that to be somewhere between 25 to 30%. I would start at 30%. And as you get more experienced with strong and predictable systems, you can lower that profit margin requirement as your volume increases. So now you know the sale price is $1 million. You know your profit margin is 30%. By definition, that means that your total investment is going to be no more than $700,000. It's going to leave you a profit of $300,000. From that, you need to subtract the transaction costs associated with selling the property. These are things like your real estate commission, land transfer tax, legal fees, and so on. Let's put all of that together, and we're going to estimate that at 8% of your sale cost, or in this case, $80,000. So now, subtract $80,000 from $700 and you're down to $620. You expect to hold the property for a year, and so you're going to be paying interest as well as paying for property taxes and insurance, all of your holding costs. We're going to estimate your holding costs for the year at $60,000. We're now down to $560,000. Now, you're going to need architects and engineers for the plans and permits. We'll estimate that at $30,000. Now, subtract that from $560, you're down to $530,000. Now, we said our house is going to be 2,000 square feet plus a foundation. Our hard construction cost in our example will set at $150 per square foot for a product that's somewhat better in finishes for that $1 million price point. And then the foundation might cost us an additional $50,000 to dig and pour that foundation. When we add all of that up, we're looking at a $350,000 price for the construction. If there's additional site work to bring utilities from the edge of the property to the foundation, we can estimate that at another $20,000. So now the total construction's at $370,000. And if we subtract $370,000 from our earlier subtotal of $530,000, we get $160,000. That's what's left over. That's the residue. And that's the maximum price we would be willing to pay for the land in that instance. And hence the term residual land value analysis. Now the same exact calculation applies if you're doing a flip. Your starting point might be an older home that needs a major renovation instead of brand new construction, but the analysis is exactly the same. As you're listening to this, you might be thinking to yourself about your own market conditions. You might be thinking, well, this will never work in my market because land in the core of the city sells for far more. It's going to be $300,000 for a lot, not $160,000. Well, that may be true. And if that's the case, you might be looking for a larger lot that could be subdivided. Maybe you might look to buy a lot for $320,000, subdivided into 2, so now you get your average land cost down $160,000 per home. You may have a situation in your local market where the top-end price for the finished product is $500,000, and you're wondering how you're going to make all of this fit within that $500,000 budget. Now, in that case, you might be building at a lower construction cost, maybe $120 a square foot. Maybe your land values are lower, and your residual land value analysis will get you to a maximum purchase price of $30,000 or $50,000 for the lot. It doesn't matter what your local market conditions are. The steps to follow are exactly the same. Now, on tomorrow's show, we're going to be going through a similar analysis for the case of a property that's a long-term hold instead of a quick sale. So again, go to the show notes for this episode and tomorrow's episode, download the spreadsheet example, and thank you, Danielle, for a great question. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.